guess it's appropriate that we're at the Department of Motor Vehicles talking about improvements here, and also that I'm punctual. I guess those two go together. Our press conference at 2 o'clock, and starting at 2 o'clock. And the reason I'm here at the Department of Motor Vehicles is that this is a symbol of the areas of government that we've made a lot of progress on. Director Silver says we got 20-minute wait times today, but all the time you always have to be on top of it, make sure you're not slipping back. And so that's true for all departments, whether it's at RIPTA. We've made great progress on the efficiency of providing public transportation to our citizens. We're making progress, but you always have to stay on top of it. With the DOT, we've gotten off borrowing, but we still have our challenges at DOT. We're making progress, but we still have our challenges. We're making a lot of progress with our cities and towns, our distressed communities. We've got Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls doing great, East Providence, but we still have to keep on top of that also, making sure that we're working with our cities and towns to keep them financially solvent. We're making great progress with our school funding formula. We still have to keep after it and keep the money flowing to our cities and towns so they can educate our children. We're making progress on our pension negotiations so we can stay out of litigation, expensive litigation, and risk the possibility of losing a court case, which none of us want to do. We're making progress there. The storms come and go, but there'll be new ones coming down the road. We did well with Irene, we did well with Sandy, we did well with Nemo, but there'll be another storm, and we have to be prepared. We just had the floods over the weekend, the Labor Day weekend. And of course, 38 studios. We're making progress with the litigation, recouping the taxpayers' money, but there's still work to be done. But the biggest one, of course, is when I came into office, the unemployment was 11.5%. We're making progress. We're down to 8.8, 8.9%. But we have to stay on top of that. That's still unacceptable. We've got to get that unemployment rate down and our people back to work. We want our young people staying in Rhode Island, finding a job here, coming out of our colleges, even the people from out of state that come to our great institutions of higher education. They want to stay here. They have a great experience here in Rhode Island. They want to stay. We want to make sure they have the jobs to stay. So these are the areas that we have to work on, and particularly as I look ahead, we want President Obama to say, look, the Affordable Care Act is working in Rhode Island. Look at where it's working. And we have the opportunity to do that. October 1st, we roll out the health exchange. January 1st, we're really up and running. I want the president to be able to say, it's working in Rhode Island. We're a model for health exchange. This weekend, I'm going to meet with Eastern Canadian premiers and New England governors to talk about cheap, clean power for our citizens and our businesses, bring down that cheap, clean power so we can be competitive with our businesses. That's work, that progress that still needs to be made on that. And I mentioned some cities and towns, particularly those that I didn't mention. We're really especially working hard on Woonsocket and West Warwick. Tremendous challenges there. And I enjoy those challenges, and I want to focus all my energy and time on those challenges. So I'm not going to be seeking re-election for governor. I enjoy the challenge of combat, but I also enjoy the challenge of running a government. And in this moment of Rhode Island's history, I want to devote all my time, all my energy to the task at hand, and that is running our government. My dad said, whatever job you have, leave the workplace better than you found it. And I have a prediction in December of 2014, when I leave office, early January of 2015, you can say, Link Chafee left his workplace better than he found it. Thank you, and I'll
Governor,
take any
tell
questions.
us, how do you feel today? Was it the polling you were doing recently showed you that it was going to be an uphill battle? Was it something personal?
I enjoy, as I said, making sure that people can come into the Department of Motor Vehicles and get a license, get a registration. We're down to 20 minutes. That's what I enjoy. I want to devote all my time and energy to that.
Yep.
Why did you make this decision, Governor? Why?
Many factors came in, but it's been a long time in thinking about it and talking with my family about it, and I'm obviously very happy with it.
You have other plans?
I don't right now, Steve.
You
Right now,
obviously-
as I said, we have our challenges. I went through some of them. They're even more than that. And that's where I'm going to devote all my time and energy.
You obviously positioned yourself for re-election by becoming a Democrat. What changed between now and then?
They're a little bit separate, Jim. I wanted to have a home, a political home, and whether I ran for office or not, they were separate. And I'm very happy being a Democrat. I wouldn't change that decision at all.
Are you gonna
And
endorse
I
in
look
the
forward
primary?
to helping the Democratic Party in Rhode Island.
Are you going to endorse in the primary, Governor?
No.
That was
Not this
in
time.
May. What changed between May and now?
Well, they're kind of separate, Michelle, as I said to Jim. I wanted to have a political affiliation, and I made this decision to be a Democrat separate of running for office.
Did you speak with President Obama since that time, ask him to come here to perhaps fundraise for you or show any support for you?
No, I've been just focused on the task at hand,
So you
the
haven't-
challenges we have here.
Have you spoken to the president since you switched your party?
I've seen him at different events, but we haven't talked anything political.
Governor, have you lined up anything else you'd like to do? First of all, we assume you're going to stay in office until the
Yes.
end. You're not
Yes.
taking another job
No.
in the Obama
Will you definitely stay till
administration.
the end, Governor?
Yes, that's my intention.
Is there anything else you have lined up or hoping to do at the end of this?
No, not now. I want to put all my time and energy towards continuing the good work we're doing here, making sure RIPTA's still working, 38 Studio suit goes forward. We still have one socket in West Warwick. These are the challenges I enjoy, and I want to devote all my time and energy to.
What is it that you think you can do now that you've sort of freed yourself from all the speculation that you couldn't do if you were a candidate?
Well, obviously, it's not just the time and the energy that goes into a campaign, but as you know, if you're looking at an election, sometimes you make compromises that might not be made if you weren't involved in the campaign.
Like what kind of compromises?
You know how the system works.
The last time I quoted you, we were talking about finding something affordable for the taxpayers that would make the unions happy on the pension case. Does the fact that you're bailing out now change your stance at all on the pension case?
Absolutely
and whether
not.
you need to make it
Absolutely not. Nothing's changed on that. I said right from the beginning, back in November, I think, when I was saying we need to get out of the court system and have negotiation. That hasn't changed.
Have you done?
Were you concerned
And
you'd
the key
lose?
word's affordable to the taxpayer. If we can get out of litigation and the risk of losing, and it's affordable to the taxpayers, the unions agree to drop their lawsuit, that's a huge win.
Governor, we're live here on the radio. Could you just restate what it is that made you make this decision not to run for re-election?
We have our challenges in Rhode Island, and I want to devote all my time and energy to those challenges. It's unacceptable we're still at 8.9% unemployment, the highest in New England. And if I'm going to be running for office and trying to address these challenges, I don't think that's fair to the Rhode Island taxpayers and the Rhode Island workers, and I'm devoting all my time and energy to the task at hand.
No other plans? No other political plans?
I do not have any other political plans.
Not going to join
100%
the
of my
Obama
time and energy is
administration?
going to be devoted to the issues that Rhode Islanders care about.
When did you
Good education, getting back to work, fixing our infrastructure. All my time and energy is going to those challenges.
Were you concerned you couldn't win the primary?
There are many factors into this decision, but
Yes,
the main
there are.
thing is that you can't be doing two jobs well at the same time, especially with the situation we have here in Rhode Island.
When did you make
Governor
this
Lincoln
decision?
Chafee live
When did you
talking
make
with
this
reporters.
This has
during
been a
transit
long time
speed
coming,
was
but
announced a few moments ago.
you
We'll have
make
more
the
answers.
decision when you stand here in front of the microphones.
You
But
literally
when
walk
did you,
up.
I mean, you have some prepared remarks, it looks like. I mean, when did you write that out? In the last few days, or when was this?
there
I'd
a
say
moment?
all summer, talking with my family.
All summer? And what did your family tell you?
We talk about it, and I'm standing here very comfortable in saying that my dad would be happy, saying, leave your workplace better than you found it, and that's my goal.
Governor, you
That
say,
will, I have a prediction,
you say
that
you,
will be accomplished.
you say you enjoy these challenges. If you enjoy these challenges, what is the single reason why you made this decision not to seek re-election?
It's the effort that goes into a campaign. It's a lot of time and effort that goes into a campaign. You know, it's not just going to the events, it's the fundraising. I thought it was at this moment in Rhode Island's history, put all your time and energy into the task at hand, and that's the biggest reason I'm
But
doing this.
why become a Democrat and position yourself for re-election if you ultimately decided not to run again?
They really are separate. I wanted to find a political home, and some might argue it was harder going into a Democratic primary. So if you're doing it for purely political reasons, you would have stayed an independent and been there in the November election. I wanted to find a political home. I'm very happy with that. I enjoy going. I'm also going to the Democratic Governors Association meeting. The issues we talk about, the like-minded issues that are comfortable for me. And so I'm
Governor,
very
have you-
happy with that decision to become a
Have you
Democrat.
told President Obama or anyone in the congressional
no.
delegation?
Why
This
not
is
at
the
this
first
point, I
time?
have not,
making
no.
this announcement today?
After talking to my family over the course of the summer, I thought the time was good now to tell the Rhode Islanders, you're going to see Link Chafee devoting all his time and energy to the issues you care about.
Governor, what would you like to do? You say you don't have anything lined up. What would you like to do? You went to Brown after the Senate.
It's a year and a half away. What I'd like to do is do the job well for the next year and a half.
Will
And
we see you out there
that's,
campaigning for other Democrats, perhaps? Although you won't be running yourself?
we'll see. Oh, thank you. We'll see.
When did
We'll
you
see.
tell your staff?
I can't emphasize enough the challenges we have in this state. We all know are many, and I want to put all my time and energy into those challenges.
Governor, do you think you would have won if you had run again?
I do. I do. I've always been competitive in my races. You know my history. I've never had an easy race. Running for council, running for mayor, running for senator. I've never had an easy one.
So, Governor, if you feel like that you could have won, then why not, instead of just devoting the next year and a half, be able to devote the next 5.5 years to doing what you've done?
You know what it takes to run for office. It's hugely time consuming. And I want to, again, put my time and energy to where Rhode Islanders are paying their hard-earned tax dollars for it to be spent on their issues.
Did
Is
you
that
do
it for you now? I mean, after this, no more seeking any political office, or would you seek an appointment to something?
No. I expect to be here for the next year and a half doing, as I said, making sure that the issues that whether it's RIPTA or DMV or higher ed, tuition freeze at higher ed, I don't want that just to be 1 year. I want that to be every year.
So,
Driving down the costs of getting a higher education for Rhode Islanders.
so after that year and a half is over, are you done with political campaigns forever?
Who knows? Who knows?
Governor,
I'm
you
still
talked about
a young kid.
Governor, you talked about the unemployment rate being a key to the next election. Are the numbers just not good enough for you to prevail in re-election?
No, I think they're going to come down. I think we went 10 consecutive months of declining unemployment. And for some reason, that kind of slipped by the facts that people talk about. We had 10 consecutive months of declining unemployment rates. And then we plateaued in June, July at 8.8, 8.9 for a couple months. I expect us to get back down, dropping again. We had an announcement today that Dussault has Jim Bennett credit, organizing us two to go to Paris, France to meet with the CEO of this huge international company to keep their offices here in Rhode Island. They made that decision. They're announcing that today. That's hundreds of workers. They're going to stay here. They're going to move to a new facility in Johnston. They'll move out of their Providence facility. So I think good things were coming down the road. I just wanted to focus on the job.
Governor, when did you tell your staff of your decision?
Today.
At what point today? I mean, was it this morning? At 10 o'clock this morning, did you call them into your office and say, I've made the decision?
Yes, this morning.
Okay. Did you do, I'm sorry if I missed an earlier question, but did you do any kind of a poll in the last month or so?
No.
To assess your
No.
chances at all?
Have you done any polls at all?
No.
Well, what do you
Are
want to be
you
remembered
doing this,
for,
can
Governor?
I finish
Sure.
one second? And then I'll let John answer. Are you, odd question, but are you doing this for yourself? You've achieved what you wanted to achieve, you have things you want to accomplish, or are you doing this for the Democratic Party?
It's a combination of many factors that come in.
What if
And I've run for many offices, like 12. I've been in 12 elections. None of them have been easy. I'm competitive by nature. But more than anything, I want to leave Rhode Island better than I found it. And that's going to take, we down to 20 minutes here at DMV. I just want to keep on top of it. And that, we've got other issues coming. We're putting in a new computer system here, right, Director?
Yes,
and we're going to be taking our valuable customer service representatives off the football, as they call it, to train on these computers. We've got to make sure they're replaced so those lines don't come back up to the abominable 5, 6 hour, 7 hour waits that Rhode Islanders were enduring. And on all departments.
Did you
That's
speak,
what I enjoy doing.
Did you speak to Angel Tavares or Gina Raimondo before coming out here?
I have not.
Are you going to today? Will you
I'll be making
calling
phone
them?
calls.
And will you be making phone calls?
I don't
on
think they'll need my phone call.
You think maybe they're following Twitter?
Couldn't
would-
you make a case that you will get less done as a lame duck than you would if you?
No.
No, you don't think
no,
so?
No, I don't.
Why?
The politics that come in, and
Like what? What in particular? Any specific examples of
I'm just
things
confident.
you feel that you could get done absent a political campaign?
I've been around long enough to know how it works, and I'd rather be making my decisions absent being in a campaign.
Governor, have you
would
run your
Gina
last
Raimondo be
campaign
a-
and have you
I've
lost
always
the
been, as you
stomach
know,
for
this-
elective politics?
I think if you were going to look up principled leader in the dictionary, you see a picture of like Chafee. So
Would you consider
that
throwing your
has
support
never changed.
behind
But
Mayor
when you get
Tavares?
into campaigns, it's a different dynamic.
Governor, have you run your last campaign and have you lost the stomach for elective
Oh
politics?
no! I'm still a young kid, and we'll see what comes down
Was
the
being
pike.
governor more difficult than you anticipated?
Yes, I will say, Ian. As I've been around a long time, and I knew the power of the General Assembly, that by Constitution here in Rhode Island, that's no surprise. But I call it irrational negativity. It's been worse than I expected.
Do you think there are structural changes that you would endorse to give the governor more power that you see as necessary?
Yes, absolutely.
Such
And
as?
a Constitutional Convention will be called, and I think there's an opportunity in this next year and a half before that November vote by the citizens to talk about the structure of Rhode Island's government.
You started off at a constitutional
I did,
convention.
Jim.
Be interested in the next one?
I'm very interested. Yes,
As-
it's an
as
important
a-
moment in Rhode
being a-
Island's
being
history.
a delegate?
I hadn't thought of that. That's a back to the future.
Are you likely to run for Congress again at some point? Is there
don't know.
anything you have?
No.
That's an absolute no, or at this moment you're not thinking about it?
I'm not thinking.
Would you
wait,
consider
the
backing
ration-
Mayor Tavares if he runs for governor?
I'm not going to support anybody at this time.
Would Gina Raimondo be a good governor for Rhode Island?
I'm not going to support anybody at
You
this
don't
time.
have, even without supporting anybody,
I
would
have
she
the-
be a good governor?
The fervor of a convert, in that I'm a fervent Democrat. And I'll
That
be
wasn't a mistake becoming a
no,
Democrat.
no. Very comfortable being a Democrat. I'll be supporting Democratic candidates in Rhode Island and across the country.
What's the
What did your
biggest thing you
family say
accomplished?
when you consulted
Irrational
with them?
negativity since you've been elected governor. What are you talking about?
Well, immigration issues that exploded. I mean, we want to have a civil society here in Rhode Island. Marriage equality, again, we want a civil society here in Rhode Island. Extend these rights to everybody. At the Christmas tree, when the decision that came on that, this is the truth. They asked, what are you going to do? I said, do what they did last year. It was my only instructions. And I kept saying that through the whole furor. Nothing's changed from last year and the year before that.
Was it the holiday tree primarily, Governor, that led you to make the choice?
No.
What did your family tell you when you came to this decision? How did you arrive at this? What were your discussions with them? Did the situation with Caleb play a role in this? Is there another shoe to drop for him?
No, there's a lot of factors that came in, but we're all competitive family. They share that gene, and there was elements of keeping the fight, but also be smart, and ultimately being smart won out.
What's smart about it?
Making sure that DMV continues the good work, RIPTA, Woonsocket, West Warwick, the unemployment rate keeps going down, Rhode Islanders have good jobs to find. That's the task at hand. That's what I want to devote all my time and energy to.
There is no other shoe to drop.
Not that, no.
You said in some ways it was tougher than you thought it would be, and some of that it sounds like has to do with some of the criticism, the holiday tree, some of those controversies. Those sometimes did you get frustrated, like that was taking away from things you wanted to focus on? Is that part of this?
I've always considered myself a veteran and able to take slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, I think as the line goes, but sometimes you get a little surprised.
How do you feel about your decision?
Very good. Yes, very. Yes.
Why
No
is that?
sadness?
Only because I'm a competitive person, and but being smart is more important.
I'm gonna go back
making
to
sure
Brown.
that we're focused on these important issues is really critical to how I want to be viewed as a person.
You know, some
Governor,
of
could
us
you ever see
actually
yourself
thought you
going
were-
to Washington, perhaps taking a
And
job
I don't have
down
any
there?
plans. I don't, Ted.
No.
No.
Think you'll stay in Rhode Island after you're governor?
Yes. It's the best state out of 50.
Might go back to Brown, perhaps?
I haven't made any. I doubt it. Tom Wolf says you can't go home again. I kind of feel that way. Keep moving on, but who knows?
Governor, I'm sorry. Some of us, when there was an announcement of a press conference here, didn't know what your decision was. Thought you were announcing driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. Is that part of what you're announcing today?
No.
And by the
No.
way,
We're working on that. We're studying it, and it's not only a public safety issue; it's a revenue issue. But that's no decision's been made on that.
How are you feeling now that you've made this decision?
I think Colorado just did it recently.
How are you feeling about all
Very good, Steve. Very good. It's not without a lot of thought. I don't stand here without a lot of time and thought put into my own personal future.
How long did it take you to make this decision? When did you start thinking about it?
I'd say it intensified in August, especially when you get some time away and speaking with Stephanie, and we had some good time to talk and
Where did you
as a
go?
family. We were up in Maine, and we drove up and drove back. It's about a 6.5 hour drive, and get a chance to talk, and then spend
So
some
on a
time there away. And
6.5 hour drive back from Maine. We talked about it.
up and back.
Up and
Yeah.
back.
And about, what, I think we were there
And
five,
up there
in
as
5
well.
days. I think we were up there 5 days.
Where in Maine?
Up by Bar Harbor.
What kind of counsel did your wife give you as you were ruminating on this?
Well, I've known her since she was 14, so we know each other well. And we've been through this before, whether it's running for mayor. And I didn't make my first run for mayor. And coming back, should I come back and try again? And then making the step to Senate. We've always talked about all these decisions together.
Did she encourage you one way or another?
We talked about it. It's the decision that we're all comfortable with.
What's the biggest thing you've accomplished, and what did you not accomplish that you wish you had?
Well, I do believe that the future of Rhode Island depends on the areas I keep talking about: education, infrastructure, workforce development in cities and towns. And I like to keep it down to the basics. I'm a block and tackle proponent. Do the basics, do them well. And as far as government goes, I'm a small government philosophy person. Do the things that government does and do them well. And so I'm very proud of the money that we put into higher ed, into funding the school funding formula, getting DOT off borrowings, and put that money back into our roads and bridges. Workforce development, we're putting a focus on that. And of course, cities and towns I took them from the brink of bankruptcy by pouring the money in at my own peril.
Is there any issue that frustrated you
to
that you
protect it, Providence. We won soccer, we still have issues.
And what's been
working
the
there.
biggest frustration? What have you not been able to achieve?
I'm always a positive person.
Could you speak to the
and
microphone, Governor?
Yes, I'm a positive person, and I like to dwell on what we can accomplish in the future and not look in the rearview mirror.
Was this
Well,
last
thank you.
assembly
Excellent.
session, Governor, at all have any role in your decision? I know the EDC things, for example, you really pushed hard, and I know there was a struggle in some ways.
No, I knew running for office, the power of the General Assembly constitutionally. I wish I were czar, but I know that's not the Rhode Island constitutional powers. But we can talk about that as we lead up to the Constitutional
So you'll be
Convention.
pushing
Vote by
hard
the.
for a constitutional convention? it
Yes,
sounds like.
yes.
You feel very strongly around that.
I do. I think we should have a very intellectual dialogue about our structure of government here in Rhode Island.
to accomplish
It's
what?
critical. It's more critical probably than anything else
Beyond the
that we're
convention,
talking about. Structure of EDC, whether it's a Commerce Department, it pales in comparison to the structure of our government.
What is your top priority at this time that you have in office?
As I said, it hasn't changed. Keep investing in education, infrastructure, workforce development, cities and towns. I like to keep it
Is that
simple.
one that raises above it all? Above those that you mentioned?
They all lead to a better economy, and that's ultimately what we all care about. There's a tremendous river of talent flowing through this state, through Johnson of Wales, Providence College, Bryant, Roger Williams, Brown, RISD. all are great at Salve, and they want to stay here. Believe me, they come here, they love it, and they want to stay. Our job is to make that possible. And if we're doing that, we're having good schools, good roads and bridges, companies are going to come here. I talked about clean, cheap power. It's critical to our economic future.
Do you like being governor?
Oh yeah, oh yes.
What do you think of the, I mean, we haven't seen a poll in a while, but what did you think of the popularity numbers that you were low in?
It's a fair question, but I always thought that as we build the economy the right way, they're going to change.
Would you like to see the legislature subject to the ethics commission?
These are all issues, I think more the structural power, line item veto powers, shift a little more towards the executive. That's a bigger issue than just the ethics being cast on the legislature. I think it's a whole structural, compared to other states especially.
You're not ruling out possibly running again for something else. Would you run for governor again down the line?
No, I don't. Right now, as I said, we've got a year and a half to focus on making Rhode Island very, very prosperous, which is our history.
Governor, you mentioned
so you would or you wouldn't run?
I have no thoughts right now of any other
all right.
office.
Governor, you mentioned your family a lot about your decision. Did you consult anyone else? Are there any had to buy any of those people you've trusted over the years to help you decide?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Anyone in particular?
Through council races and mayoral races and Senate races, and we bounced some things off people that have
Did
been
you like
through the
being
scraps
mayor better?
together.